"William, are you feeling better today?" The middle-aged white man in front of him walked up to Chen William and asked with a concerned look on his face. "I feel good, Uncle Tom, thank you for your concern." William Chen looked at the newspaper in his hand and replied. "But I feel that you have been staying at home these 2 days. You should go out for a walk, or I'm afraid you will be too bored. I remember when you were in Los Angeles, you always said that I stayed home all night. Now that I'm at home, you worry that I'm too boring." Putting the newspaper on the table, William Chen moved his body and said with a smile. "That's because you went too far, William. After coming to New York, you've changed so much, you're just like 2 people before. Why don't I make an appointment with a doctor and give you a more careful examination? After all, I fainted suddenly last time, maybe there will be some sequelae." The middle-aged white man sat beside Chen William and said to him with a serious face. "No, I feel good, really. I've made a plan to start exercising tomorrow, and I was just too weak. I recently reflected on what happened before, I was too naive. Thank you, Uncle Tom, I feel good now, at least I don't have to be bothered by those tabloid reporters all day long." "William, I'm glad you can think so. After all, everyone can think clearly and mature when they are young. I believe your parents will be happy when they see this scene. As for your company, go bankrupt if it goes bankrupt. I'll ask the bank again. If it really doesn't work, I'll ask your Uncle John to help you again. Always keep the building your parents left for you, except for the current one. Other than the last thing they leave you." After the middle-aged white man finished speaking, he sighed. Hearing the other party's words, a towering and spectacular skyscraper appeared in William Chen's mind. This 40-story building, called Building 666 at the core of Fifth Avenue, is the most important thing left to him by William Chen's predecessor parents. The property of... Yes, it is the predecessor of William Chen. Because his current soul came into this body from another world. After coming here, from the vague memory of his predecessor and what he learned through other channels, William Chen silently found that his current situation was very bad. It can be said that his predecessor was a well-known figure in the United States, but his reputation was not very good. He was called the most famous prodigal in the United States since the 21st century. In the words of a newspaper report, in just 5 years, he was defeated. Lost the $1 billion in assets left by his parents. However, William Chen knew that it was not so exaggerated in fact. Chen William's predecessor can be said to be from a wealthy family. His father was a self-made Chinese real estate rich man, and his mother was born in a famous political family, the Dre family. William Chen's grandfather, George Dre, was a member of the Donkey Party. Whip, and my uncle, John Dre, was a congressman from California. Originally, he should have a good life, but everything has changed from 5 years ago. His parents both died in a traffic accident, leaving behind William Chen's predecessor. At that time, he was only 16 years old and just went to high school. It was fine at first, because they were still minors, and the parents' estate was entrusted by the people they trusted most, namely Uncle Tom and his uncle in front of them. And when William Chen's predecessor came of age at the age of 18, when he was in his second year of sophomore year, the 2 estate trustees handed over all the assets of his parents to him according to the agreement. So this prodigal son's prodigal journey began. Because of his handsome appearance and his popularity due to family factors, his predecessor made a cameo appearance in a movie at that time, but he didn't expect it to become an instant hit, and then he stepped into the entertainment industry. Because of his confidence in the success of his first film, he opened his own film company at that time. Not only did he act in films himself, but he also invested heavily in many film and television projects. I don't know if there is any curse in him. All the films that William Chen's predecessor invested in, even 2 or 3 big productions, all ended in failure. As a result, not only did he lose the assets left by his parents, but also a lot of debts directly affected the biggest fortune of his parents during his lifetime, the 666 Fifth Avenue building in New York. Chen William now thinks about it. This predecessor has been working hard in Hollywood for these years, and probably the biggest gain is that he has made several star girlfriends, but what makes him depressed is that the predecessor is finished enjoying, leaving such a mess for himself to solve. Did not eat the meat, and was beaten to catch up. Due to the failure of the film investment and the increase of a lot of debt, William Chen's predecessor was a little self-sacrificing, and finally fainted suddenly after drinking too much at a party. When he wakes up again, the soul in his body is already him from another world in 2022. After Chen William woke up, his uncle who came here was furious and asked Uncle Tom, who was in front of him, to take him out of Hollywood and back to his home in New York. At this time, Chen William, who has just come to this world, is also trying his best to get acquainted with everything in the current world, but what troubles him is that although the memory of his predecessor still exists, it is still a bit difficult to recall. This kind of feeling is like remembering the previous night after a hangover, always feeling vague, and you need to think carefully before you can get some fragments. Fortunately, for his condition, whether it is his uncle or Uncle Tom, they all think that it is because of the previous syncope, the sequelae, and there is even no lack of doubts that too much drinking has caused some damage to the brain. This also spared Chen William from thinking about reasons, and also gave him a reasonable explanation for his current behavior. William, don't blame John for forcing you to go back to New York. He can't do anything about it. You did too much before, and now is also a very important period for him, so that's why he did that. In fact, he still cares about you very much in his heart. I hope you can understand his painstaking efforts. Well, you have a good rest first, and then I will ask about the bank. Uncle Tom's words brought William Chen back from his memory. The middle-aged white man in front of him, who could still vaguely see his handsome face when he was young, can be said to be the closest person to William Chen's predecessor. Not only did he take care of him until he became an adult, but after he entered the entertainment industry, he also acted as his manager and housekeeper, and it can be said that he was the one who cared about him the most. As for the reason, he also somewhat understood from memory. Uncle Tom's full name is Tom Hanks. Yes, you heard it right, the same name as some Hollywood actor. And he has seen a photo of Uncle Tom when he was young. It was a photo with his mother. He was very handsome at that time. At that time, William Chen's predecessor even suspected that he had a story with his mother. It was only later that I found out that Uncle Tom and his mother could be said to be close friends who grew up together, and it could be seen that he had always had deep feelings for his mother, but unfortunately his mother met his father later. The two fell in love and united, and then there was the predecessor of William Chen. Uncle Tom can also be said to be a peerless seed of infatuation. Even so, he has been silently accompanying his mother, even though Chen William's predecessor's mother just regarded him as a brother. After his mother passed away, Uncle Tom also put this feeling on William Chen, treating him like his own son, even more than many American parents put on their children. But after seeing the photos of his mother when he was young, William Chen can also understand why Uncle Tom is so infatuated. When I was young, my mother was very good looking. If you saw Audrey Hepburn when she was young, you would understand how defiant she was. The two of them can't say they are exactly the same, and they are not bad at all. And William Chen's body also inherited the good looks of his parents, which is why he only made a cameo in the movie at the time, and he immediately became popular. Do you think it was because of acting? It is purely supported by the beauty of the sky. Seeing the figure of Uncle Tom getting up and leaving, and what he said just now, William Chen couldn't help but return to reality. He needed to face the biggest headache for him at this time, which was the debt problem of the bank. You reading www.youcanshu.com. In fact, this matter is not entirely caused by Chen William's predecessor. The most important part of the estate left to him by his former parents is the 666 building in the heart of New York's Fifth Avenue. This building was bought by his father at a record price of $1.5 billion in 2004. At that time, this incident even shook the United States and made this building the King of New York. But at that time, his father did not buy the building with full capital. He only paid $500 million in cash, and the rest of the funds came from loans. Originally his father had a comprehensive plan to remodel the building to increase its value. But things didn't go as planned, and soon after, his parents were involved in a car accident and both died, and the whole plan could not continue. At that time, after the death of his parents, the legacy left by him, in addition to the real estate of the building and his current residence, also included assets of nearly $200 million including company stocks and securities. However, these were sold at that time. After the assets, $100 million was used to pay off the short-term loan when buying the building, and the remaining $100 million was really lost by Chen Williams' predecessor, the prodigal family. And because of investing in movies and repaying the bank's follow-up loan, he has successively sold about 40% of the building's shares over the years. But the problem he faces now is that with the prosperity of the real estate industry in recent years, the valuation of the building has been rising continuously, and the pressure on the bank was not so great. However, due to the rising rent year by year, and the fact that Chen Williams' predecessor did not have talents who were skilled in business operations, the vacancy rate of the building for rent in the past 2 years was relatively high, and the income dropped sharply. The rise, which has reached the warning line, has caused the banks to be alarmed. A month later, another $50 million loan is about to expire. In the past, it was possible to negotiate with the bank to extend the loan period. However, because of the behavior of Chen Williams' predecessor, the bank has no longer trusted, so I am afraid that if the loan is not paid, his shares in this building will be auctioned, and these debts are very easy to trigger a chain reaction. When the debt broke out, he had to go bankrupt all the way. Now Uncle Tom needs to help him solve this problem. He hopes that if the family of Chen Williams' mother can help to make peace, temporarily reach an agreement with the bank to extend the loan, so that he does not have to face the forced auction of the building shares. Situation. After Uncle Tom left, William Chen went back to the sofa and sat down. He closed his eyes and looked at the icon in front of him. Yes, he is watching with his eyes closed now. This is a secret he discovered after he came to this world. That is, when he closed his eyes, he could always see a grey icon in front of him, but no matter what method he used, whether he looked at it or felt it with his mind, the icon never responded. At first, he was excited about this for a while, thinking about whether the systems or plugins in some novels he had read in his previous life would also appear on him. Not surprising. But after many attempts in the end, he reluctantly gave up. Can he just wait for this thing that doesn't know what icon it is to be activated by himself? William Chen sighed. It has been a few days since he came to this world, and William Chen is trying his best to adapt. In his previous life, he had been in China since he was born, so he suddenly became a half-Chinese half-blood who lived in the United States. The contrast was still a little big. Thinking of the past life, he couldn't help but have those kinds of experiences in his mind. In the previous life, Chen William did not have the extraordinary family background and tall and handsome image as the current one. He used to be just an ordinary person born in a small city. After graduating from college, he stayed in a bustling big city. Through constant struggle, he finally had $500 million assets. At the same time, he also met the woman he hoped to wait for his whole life. Just when he thought he would live like this, with a beloved wife, a stable career, and on his way to the ranks of A9, 9 figures in assets, an accident happened. He inadvertently offended a powerful man and faced retribution from the other party. At this time, he thought that he would accompany his wife, who faced all difficulties, but fled with the money in fear. Under pressure, he handed over his previous experience and evidence of walking in the grey area to the other party. As a result, William Chen was thrown into prison. During a conflict, he was stabbed into the internal organs with a sharpened toothbrush, and he died. Unexpectedly, when he woke up again, he came to this world and became a prodigal with a prominent family background. The development of the world is indeed unpredictable, but even so, he still needs to face the current predicament. Just when he fell into memory, he suddenly heard the sound of the doorbell. Chen William returned to reality, got up and walked to the door to open the door. There was a beautiful blonde standing outside the door. After she saw Chen William, she asked with a happy expression on her face, "Dear William, didn't expect it to be me? I heard that your health is not very good recently, how is it now?" The beautiful woman in front of her was wearing a long pink dress and her figure. William Chen's eyes swept from somewhere, it was spectacular. The most important thing is that her appearance made Chen William feel so familiar, and from the vague memory of his predecessor, he found a name that was familiar to him in his previous life, Paris Hilton. "Why did you suddenly become so detached from me, William? Didn't you always call me Paris before? Also, didn't you let me in first?" Paris looked at William Chen strangely and said, "Oh, I forgot, Paris, please come in. You know, I'm not in such a good state recently." William Chen used the excuse that he couldn't get it right. But after a while, from the memory of his predecessor, he really found that he and Paris had a good relationship, so good that the two of them had seen each other frankly. However, Paris is not one of his previous girlfriends. The relationship between the two is more like a friend, pie, but they really haven't seen each other for a while. At this time, Paris had already entered the room. She sat on the sofa in the living room and said to William Chen, "It looks like you are not looking well, William, what's going on? I heard that you fainted suddenly. When I knew you were back in New York, I asked for your address from Uncle Tom and came to see you. It's just that I drank too much that day, there may be some sequelae, and I don't remember some things so clearly, maybe it will be fine after a while. William, you should change yourself, I told you before, don't live like that anymore, hang around with women all day. I hope that after this incident, you can be more self-disciplined and focus more on your career come up." Paris' expression was very sincere, and her face was full of concern. However, Chen William felt that these words came out of her mouth, and there was always a sense of incongruity. He was really impulsive at the moment and wanted to say, "Big sister, did you say the wrong line?" After all, in her previous life, her rich emotional history always caused heated discussions, and Chen William had also watched some of her videos privately. However, considering that if these words were really spoken, the blonde beauty in front of him might change her face immediately, and she might not even be able to take off her high-heeled shoes and come to knock her head on with the heels, so William Chen said safely, "Thank you for your concern, Paris, I've been reflecting on my past as well, and it's time to make a change." "It's great of you to think that way, William, I'm sure you can do something if you just get back on your feet. Let those pesky tabloid reporters see that the William the First no isn't as bad as they say." When Paris heard William Chen's words, she immediately became happy, sat beside him, grabbed his hand, and said expectantly. But at this moment, looking at Paris, a doubt flashed in William Chen's mind. According to the memory of the previous life, Paris Hilton seems to have become famous very early. If I remember correctly, it is 2009. She should be almost 30, not 30, but 28. But the Paris in front of him now looks like a little girl, not her age at all. With this in mind, William Chen couldn't help but ask, "Paris, how old are you this year?" When William Chen asked, Paris' originally happy expression changed immediately. She said to William Chen a little unhappily, "William, I'm just 4 years older than you, you always have to worry about this matter. Remind me? FK, I didn't give you my first time." At this moment, William Chen feels that his worldview has been subverted. He is 21 years old this year, and Paris is 4 years older than him, so is she only 25? And according to the information in her words, she gave it to herself for the first time, as if she and her predecessor met 3 years ago, when she was 18 and she was 22. In the United States, it was the first time for a girl to be 22. It was already very rare, and she could be called a virtuous woman. Is this still the Paris Hilton from her previous life? However, after searching the memory of his predecessor, Chen William found that reading www.yuyuganshu.com it seems that she was right. When she was with him at that time, she was really. Well, it seems that there is a very correct sentence. I really can't look at the real people I met based on the media reports in my previous life. Seeing that Paris was a little excited, William Chen said quickly, Paris, I didn't mean that. You know, since I fainted last time, I can't recall many things. Paris then remembered that William Chen had said this before. She turned to Care and touched William Chen's forehead with her hand, and asked, Poor William, are you feeling better now? I'm sorry, I was impulsive just now. A slightly cool hand was placed on his forehead, and Paris was very close to him at this time. The magnificent scenery was in front of William Chen, and the fragrance of her body drifted into William Chen's nose. At this moment, he already felt a little confused. After all, his predecessor was the predecessor, and it was the first time he had faced such a beautiful scene after transmigrating himself. As a result, Paris did not stabilize and fell directly to William Chen, not only pressing him on top of him. At this time, the two were very close, and Paris immediately reacted to the situation in her hands. She looked at Chen William's handsome face and her face became rosy. William, don't do this, you can't do this now, you still need to recover. Looking at the blonde beauty in front of him, he couldn't help but kiss her directly. The two of them have long been friends, but Paris said no. Finally, this time, William Chen didn't see pictures of Paris or videos or memories of his predecessors, but real experiences. William, I have something to do in the afternoon. You can rest at home and I will come back to you tomorrow. Paris got out of bed, got dressed right in front of William Chen, and said to him. Before she left, she came over and kissed William Chen again. Are you hungry? Do you want me to order a takeaway for you from the restaurant next door? Thank you, Paris, it would be better if there is Chinese food. As soon as she said that, William Chen really felt a little hungry. I want authentic Chinese food, not those sweet American Chinese food. You still haven't changed, your taste requirements are so high. Paris seemed to be in a good mood. After speaking, she hummed a song and left, not forgetting to strike William Chen before leaving. William, you really need after a good training, I feel that your combat effectiveness is not as good as before. FK. When William Chen heard her last words, he really wanted to hold her back and let her think about who was begging for mercy just now. After she left, William Chen lay on the bed with excitement on his face. He closed his eyes and began to study his new discovery. Now in William Chen's mind, the icon that appeared was already colored in reality. When he put his consciousness on it, it flickered just like when he first discovered the change of the icon, and then an interface appeared in his consciousness. The top of the interface is the logo of Future Bank, and the bottom is divided into 3 interfaces, namely Account, Activity, and Item. What appeared in front of him now was the Account interface. This interface made Chen William feel very familiar. He suddenly remembered it. It seemed to be very similar to the interface of his mobile banking app in his previous life. The most obvious upper part of this interface shows the total amount, $10 million, and the following is the loanable $10 million / already used $0. At the bottom are 3 options: borrowing, repayment and binding. At this time, William Chen had a feeling that when you learn to ride a bicycle or swim, your body would generate muscle memory and perform actions subconsciously under the corresponding circumstances. Now, after seeing the Future Bank interface in front of Chen William, as if he already knew it, the content about how to use the bank automatically appeared in his mind. In the future, the bank will provide Chen William with a loan limit. Within the limit, he can borrow and repay at any time without paying interest. But this bank is not available now, and it needs to be bound before all functions can be activated. The so-called binding is to bind the opposite's partner who has a close relationship with the future bank and Chen William. After the binding, the future bank will adjust the quota according to the score of the other party. And the most important point is that when the bound opposite's partner is rated as deviating by the banking system in the relationship between the two sexes, the bank will unbind in the future and force Chen William to repay the loan at the same time. Hey? Why the opposite sex? Isn't there a relationship between the same sex? The system is homophobic, bad review. Chen William complained silently. In addition, if the binding object was judged to be deviating from the binding, and the binding was released, wouldn't it mean that there would be grasslands above his head? This is a little troubling. However, William Chen found that the only person of the opposite he could bind at this time was Paris Hilton. Why would he feel a little insecure if he bound her? The scene of being forced to untie the fastest appears. But fortunately, in this interface, he can bind and unbind replacements at any time, but this operation can only be used when there is no loan, because the replacement and binding will require recalculation of the quota. It feels a bit like borrowing from a certain treasure in my previous life, but it doesn't require any interest. In terms of the amount, one can recalculate the amount based on the bound opposite's score, and the other is to lend money every time and repay it in full. The quota will be increased according to the usage of the funds, which also eliminates the possibility of frequent lending and repayment to brush the quota. Well, this future bank is still relatively strict. Of course, the most important point is that all the lending and debiting operations through this future bank cannot be detected by anyone in the real bank account, which makes Chen William feel at ease. Not a lot. Seeing this, William Chen suddenly heard the doorbell ringing again. He got up and went downstairs, walked to the door, and saw that it was a meal delivery person. He remembered that when Paris was leaving, he said that he helped him order a takeaway, so he thanked him, gave him a $5 tip, and took it to the restaurant. By the way, the act of tipping can also be said to be the muscle memory of William Chen's predecessor. Because of the difference in culture, he didn't have the habit of tipping in China in his previous life. And after arriving in this world, living in the United States, he would find that every time he encountered such a situation, he would subconsciously take out money from his pocket to pay the other party a tip, so he gradually developed the idea of in the pocket or the habit of putting some change in your wallet. After opening the takeout, Chen William saw that there were mapo tofu, yuxiang shredded pork, and kung pao chicken. It seemed that Paris was looking for a Sichuan restaurant. William Chen silently praised her in his heart. At least he didn't get him some American Chinese food like General Tso's chicken or sweet and sour chicken. After eating, Chen William opened the future bank interface again. At this time, he noticed that the options on the activity interface had been stirring all the time, so he opened the interface, and there was a new activity message in it. After checking it, it showed, "Newcomer activities, you have a newcomer gift package to receive." He liked the gift package and red envelope the most, so Chen William chose to receive it. A golden light flashed before his eyes, and a message appeared, "The newcomer gift package has been put into the inventory." Opening the inventory interface of Future Bank, Chen William saw that there was only one thing in it, which was in the shape of a gift bag, which should be a gift bag for newcomers. After opening, a welcome special effect appeared, and there were 3 more things in the inventory. Yes, 1 eye of the future, financial/primary, 1 Liuwei Dai Huang Wan, and 1 bottle of 6 walnut drinks. What the is this? The eye of the future is still a bit taller. The other Liuwei Dai Huang Wan and 6 walnuts are too funny. Are you sure they are not used to make up the number? Sure enough, the so-called newcomer gift packages are quite pitiful. William Chen continued to complain, and then checked the obtained items one by one. Eyes of the future, financial/primary, can see the future segment, this is limited to the financial category, then it is likely to be able to see future news related to the financial field. Thinking of this, Chen William is looking forward to it. If you are lucky, you can really see useful news in the future, and then you can make money ahead of schedule. And this eye of the future is the primary level, that is, the fragments of the future that can be seen are limited, and it may even be just a picture or a paragraph. Then read on, you reading www.yukansha.com. Liuwei Daihuang pills, the body is the capital of the revolution, taking this medicine can be good for me or me, and prevent the body from being hollowed out. Well, although I don't know what the effect will be, but when Paris left, he said that his fighting power is far worse than before. How could Chen William's man's self-esteem allow such a thing to happen? So I immediately took out this pill and put it away. Take it in your mouth. I felt a chill flow from my stomach to my dantian, and then disappeared. He didn't feel any other difference, so he couldn't help but wonder, does this really work? In the end, what made him feel speechless the most? 6 walnuts, use your brain often and drink 6 more walnuts. Excellent product for enhancing thinking ability and memory. It looks like the introduction is good, but it doesn't feel like Liuwei Daihuang pill. Anyway, I have taken the pills, so let's try this one. Thinking of this, Chen William took out this bottle of drink, opened it, and drank it in a hurry. It was indeed a walnut-flavored drink. After drinking it, William Chen felt the same coolness flowing from his stomach to his head, and then his brain became cool for a while, and then, there was no more. Now the eye of the future is left to be used. At this time, William Chen can't help but feel a little nervous, because the first problem he faces now is the bank loan of $50 million that will expire in a month, although Tom Uncle is trying to clear up this matter, but he can't put all his hopes on it. He is looking forward to finding a way to solve this matter, but he doesn't know if this future eye can help him. However, he was not an indecisive character at first, and now he decided to give it a try, so Chen William took out the eye of the future in the inventory that looked like a swirl crystal the size of a ping-pong ball, and chose to use it. In an instant, the vortex in the eye of the future in his hand turned, and then instantly turned into a ball of light that flew into William Chen's forehead. A burst of white light immediately appeared in front of Chen William's eyes. After the white light passed, he found a picture floating in front of him. It was a newspaper report, and the content was, during the U.S. stock trading session on July 15, 2009, the shipping sector collectively soared, and many stocks rose more than 100% during the session. The sale of assets of bankrupt South Korean container company KJ Shipping was the main reason for the Sing-led surge in shipping stocks. In addition, the Baltic Dry Index rose for 9 days in a row, hitting a nearly one-year high. The share price of Greek cargo shipmaker Dryship has risen 831.74% in the past week. At the end of June, the share price of Dryship was only about $0.3. During the U.S. stock market trading session on the 15th, the share price of Dryship once rose to $102 and closed at $73, an increase of 70.3%. In other words, it only took Dryship half a month to rush from 30 cents to $100. Dryship's recently announced second quarter performance report shows that although the company's operating income fell by 76.19% year-on-year in the second quarter, its net loss has improved compared to the same period last year. A January filing by Dryship with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission revealed that the company had been questioned whether it would be able to continue as a going concern. Dryship is understood to have defaulted on 3 loans totaling $213.7 million at the time. As of the end of October last year, its debt totaled $280 million. At the time, Dryship had announced a moratorium on all debt repayments, stressing that the company was in debt restructuring talks with banks. In addition, the stock price of cargo ship operator Eaglebulk has also risen by 115.8% in the past week. Data show that Eaglebulk's main revenue in the third quarter achieved a year-on-year growth, and there are preliminary signs of recovery. Shares of Diana Container Lines, which owns and operates 10 Panamax container ships, rose 154.7% on the 20th, hitting a new high in nearly 6 months. After Chen William read the report, the picture in front of him gradually disappeared. At this time, he panicked. Although he generally remembered the content, he was still afraid that he would forget some important data. But fortunately, he later found something in the future bank's inventory. At this time, the 3 items in the newcomer gift package had disappeared, but there was one more eye of the future, trace. When Chen William opened the trace, he found that it recorded the picture he just saw. He was relieved. Recalling the content of the report I just saw, it mainly refers to the news of the shipping sector of the U.S. stock market on July 15, especially the most important of which is the share price information of the Greek cargo shipper Dries Hips. This stock can be called a demon stock. At the end of June, the stock price was only $0.3, but by July 15, it will be able to rise to a maximum of $102 within half a month. How many times is this? A full 340 times increase is really awesome. That is, if he invests $10 million now, it can rise to $3.4 billion by then, which is terrifying. Chen William confirmed the time. Today is June 29, which means that if this report really comes from the future, this wave of market will start soon, and he should have time to make arrangements. Of course, it's not that Chen William has never invested in stocks in his previous life. He knows that things are not that simple. Often, such super high-growth demon stocks are not too big. It is estimated that their circulation will be limited, let alone 3.4 billion. It is estimated to be 340 million. At that time, it will not be able to sell at that price, so it will only be possible to play with small funds. But even so, a lot of information can be seen from this report, that is, by the next month, the entire shipping sector of the U.S. stock market will have a relatively large market, and many stocks will rise by more than 100% in a single day. Then as long as the funds are sufficient, you can make more attacks and deploy the entire shipping sector, so that the plate of the entire sector will be larger, can accommodate more funds, and can earn enough profits. But the question now is, first, is this eye of the future reliable? If the news is inaccurate, the stock will not only not rise, but will fall sharply, then the game will be over. But now he is faced with such a predicament, and he can only choose to believe. After all, his time travel and the appearance of this future bank are magical enough, and it is something that subverts his entire cognition. Since these are slowly accepted, there will be no such thing as the appearance of the eyes of the future. So incomprehensible. The second question is the current situation of William Chen. Even if the news is true, it is also a problem to find funds to invest in this market. Now he has no money at all, only the tens of thousands of dollars he usually spends. The rest, including his own film and television company, are already at a standstill. As for Building 666 on Fifth Avenue, the bank is watching now, and everyone knows that a loan will expire soon. I am afraid it is difficult to use that at this time. Building mortgage to get loan. In the end, there is only the house he lives in now. His own villa has an area of more than 8,000 square feet. Converted to square meters, it is about 750 square meters, and it is the most expensive area in New York, where old money in New York is concentrated. That is, those families that have lasted for several generations. This is the vocabulary corresponding to new money, which refers to those newly rich, or the upstarts. Residential houses on the Upper East Side near Fifth Avenue are often priceless and have high requirements for the owners who live in them. Therefore, the requirements for occupants will not only have asset thresholds, but also have restrictions on their occupation and identity. Just like those celebrities or nouveau riche, they are often refused to move in, and they can only go to the emerging residences on the other end of the Upper East Side. Area to live. Therefore, William Chen's house here can be said to be the highest in the United States, or even in the world. The market valuation of his villa is more than $25 million, and if he mortgages it, he can borrow about $20 million. In addition, the future bank he just got can provide him with a loan amount. Thinking of this, he opened the account interface and saw that the amount was still $10 million. But at this time, he has not yet bound a partner. The only partner he can bind is Paris Hilton. Although it always feels that binding her may not be reliable, there is no way, the time is running out, and now he has no choice. It's time to find a more suitable person, and after all, he and Paris have known each other for 3 years, and other people may not be able to have a lower hat rate than her. You must know that once bound and borrowed, if the bound partner is judged to be deviating by the system, it is still very dangerous. In the future, the bank will immediately like the forced liquidation in many leveraged transactions. At that time, the financial assets held by William Chen were sold to repay the loan. If it is in the operation of financial investment, this kind of behavior is difficult to prevent. If the stock invested during this period of time is at a low price and is forced to sell, then the loss will be huge, and your own positions will be sent instantly. Pending orders, eating all buy orders, and even causing the price to drop instantly. Therefore, you must be more cautious about the bound partner. William Chen has not many choices now, so he can only bind Paris first. The big deal is to watch her more during this time, so as not to let himself be because of her reasons. Investment is lost. When he figured this out, William Chen chose Paris Hilton in the binding column. After he made the selection, he saw that under the account column, the bound logo appeared, and there was an avatar of Paris next to it. And his quota has also entered a state of adjustment. A minute later, when the adjustment was completed, William Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that the quota at this time had become $50 million. He didn't expect Paris Hilton's score to be good, although he has not tried other people's scores. If it is not enough, at least the current amount, he is very satisfied. But it's not so difficult to understand if you think about it. After all, Paris was born in the Hilton family, and she has also made a lot of film and television works in the past few years, and her popularity in the United States is relatively high. The most important thing is that Paris Hilton has not had any negative news yet, and her personal image is generally good. It is not like Chen Williams' previous life, after she was backstabbed by her ex-boyfriend and some kind of videotape was released. After being attacked later, the love history is also relatively rich, so the reputation at that time was not good, and it was even called the prodigal son of the Hilton family, and even the entire family was greatly affected. Today is June 29th, and there is not much time left for William Chen. He needs to hurry up. And one thing he also needs to consider is that if the bank's quota in the future, plus the mortgage loan for his house, his total capital will be about $70 million, and he needs to buy more than one stock, which he may be difficult to operate. Professional things have to be done by professional people, so he plans to find a reliable trading team to help him operate these stocks. However, he always wanted to tell Uncle Tom about the mortgage loan. Although Chen William could predict how he would react when he knew about his decision, he was the most trusted and close person in his predecessor. A man, even out of respect, must give him advance notice. And William Chen knew that Uncle Tom was a lawyer in New York before, and www.yuganshu.com had a wider network of contacts than him, so things like finding a trading team needed his help. What? Are you going to mortgage this house loan? Sure enough, Uncle Tom had a very big reaction after hearing William Chen's thoughts. William, I thought you really had high ambitions before you reflected on it, but I didn't expect you to even think about this now. I want to sell the house. This is the house your parents left to you. This is not just a house. In my heart, there are still memories here. Memories of past life. It's all sold. Uncle Tom, I'm not trying to sell this place. I'm just taking a mortgage loan to solve the current problem. I won't give this house to anyone else. William Chen tried his best to explain, but he also knew that what he saw from the eyes of the future could not be explained clearly to the other party. Even if he did say it, Uncle Tom was more likely to think that there was something wrong with his brain. It won't be as easy as you think, William. Yes, it's easy for you to take this house to the bank for a mortgage, but what will you use to pay it back? Don't say what movie do you want to invest in. After so many years the movies you invested in have never made money, and you have lost so much. If you don't make any money, you will even lose your last property. Uncle Tom rubbed his forehead and said, "To be honest, William, the result of my communication with the bank today is not optimistic. Even if there is a reconciliation from the Dre family, they still insist that at least half of the repayment be due, so that the rest of the loan can be extended. So if the worst happens and the shares in that building can't be kept, you still have at least one such property, and I don't want to see you on the street in the end, understand?" "I understand all this, Uncle Tom. I know that my previous investment in movies has been very unsuccessful, and I have disappointed you in the past few years. Actually, this can't be entirely your fault, William. After all, you are still young. I thought about it. Maybe it was because my expectations for you were too high and it put too much pressure on you. Now I just hope you can live a peaceful and happy life." "That's good. I really don't want you to take too many risks," Tom said sincerely. "I just want to try one last time, Uncle Tom. Will you give me one last chance? I just want to keep the mansion my parents left for me, so now I have a chance, and I have to try it once. If it still fails this time, then I promise you, go back to the Dre family, and I will be an ordinary person in the future, and I will no longer have any delusions. I only hope that this time, you can give me one more trust and help without reservation." William Chen had no choice but to take this as a guarantee, hoping that Uncle Tom could help him one last time. He understood that it would be really difficult for Uncle Tom to make this decision. Thinking from another perspective, if he does not have the future bank and the information in the eyes of the future, whoever tells him these words, he will feel outrageous. Do you think the financial field is really so profitable? Who do you look down on? So many of the smartest people on Wall Street, including mathematicians and psychologists, cannot guarantee that all funds are profitable. Where do you get your confidence? So he can only hope now in Tom's expectations of him and the unreserved trust a parent has in his children. Although Chen William doesn't need a house mortgage, just using the future bank's line is enough for his investment to earn enough income. However, if you just use the future bank's loan limit, the transfer of $50 million will not be monitored by anyone, so the problem arises, how do you explain to the people around you, where you make the money and pay it back? What about bank loans? After all, William Chen is not alone. A large amount of income appears out of thin air. Even if you benefit from the investment, where does the principal come from? Therefore, the reason why he needed to use a house as a mortgage to obtain a loan, in addition to wishing to increase the investment amount, the most important thing is to be able to explain the source of the investment income. At that time, as long as all the trading team sign the non-disclosure agreement, he will be able to say something to Tom and others. Tom took a deep look at Chen William. He closed his eyes, his face was full of struggle, and he didn't know what to think of. Perhaps what appeared in his mind at this time was the figure of Chen William's predecessor's mother. When he opened his eyes again, he said to Chen William, "William, this is the last time, I hope you won't let me down." After saying this, he turned to look at the garden outside the window, sighed, and said, "I don't know if this decision is correct, I hope I won't regret it. But now that it has been decided, Tom will not continue to struggle." He directly asked, "What do you want me to do for you, William?" "There are two things now, Uncle Tom. The first is to find a bank to handle the mortgage loan for this house. I hope to get a loan of no less than $20 million, and the sooner the better. The second is me. I hope to find a reliable trading team to help me invest in the stock market. William Chen had planned these things for a long time, and now he told Tom directly. The loan is easy to handle. The valuation of this house is not low, and it is very popular. Just leave this matter to me. I will contact a few bank managers I know after a while. As for the trading team, I will go to ask Hunter Ho. The stocks and securities left by your parents were handed over to him before, and he is also a friend of your father who works on Wall Street, so there should be a suitable team introduction. Soon, Tom made up his mind. How to solve these problems? He mentioned Hunter He, and Chen William can still find some impressions in the memory of his predecessor. This person's Chinese name is He Anchen, and he is his father's classmate. The relationship between the two has always been good. After Chen William's father passed away, the assets left, including stocks and securities, were handled by He Anchen. At that time, his operations were relatively good, and he helped them get a more suitable price. Chen William knew from Tom that He Anchen is currently working at Goldman Sachs and is in charge of a private equity fund. With his connections on Wall Street, it is not difficult to help Chen William find a suitable trading team. Sure enough, the next day, William Chen got Tom's reply. Chen William has already told him that his mortgage loan does not take long, and he only needs a 1-month short-term loan for the time being. Moreover, his procedures are complete, and it will not take long. Coupled with Tom's relationship, it may be as soon as possible. The loan can be paid in a day, and the loan amount, as he said, is $20 million. Hunter He also introduced a trading team to Tom, who will meet William Chen today. The person in charge of the trading team is Joss, who was once under Hunter He, and his team consists of 5 people. After meeting with them, Chen William successfully finalized the cooperation plan. The cooperation period is 1 month. Chen William will give the trading team a remuneration of $200,000, and depending on the final completed income, a part of the bonus will be added. Because after all, William Chen doesn't know much about the operation of the stock market, so he can only provide them with a few key stock names and the entire shipping sector, and Joss will carry out specific operations. So how much is the final income? Joss's here operation is also a very important factor. In order to motivate him to operate attentively, bonuses are also very necessary. As for the place where they work, the building at number 666 Fifth Avenue, which Chen William holds shares, has a lot of spare office space. Done. Of course, William Chen also specially asked Tom to hire a lawyer for him, signed a cooperation agreement with the trading team, and all team members signed the relevant confidentiality agreement. Any content of the trading cannot be leaked to the outside world, otherwise it will face a huge amount of money. Compensation. After completing these things, William Chen opened Future Bank and lent all the amount $50 million. Soon, he received information from the bank that he had transferred $50 million in cash into his account, and in his bank account, he could only see that the balance was more than $50 million, but he could not check the transfer record just now. Which made William Chen feel deeply about the strength of the Future Bank. At this time, the available quota displayed on the account interface of the Future Bank is already 0. William Chen continued to transfer the $50 million in his bank account into his stock account, which he handed over to Joss for operation. I've seen the Dries Hip stock you mentioned, and it's priced right now and trading is sluggish. The entire stock doesn't have a lot of liquidity. According to my calculations, you can only put in a maximum of $5 million, if more, it will have too much impact on the price, and it is not conducive to subsequent selling. As for the remaining stocks, I plan to put $30 million into the operation, and the remaining $15 million into other stocks in the shipping sector. After Chen William handed over the planned investment target to Joss, he did some research and analyzed it. These are under your control. I have already given you the target stocks. Now you can decide the specific operation plan. If the final profit can satisfy me, I will also give you a satisfactory bonus. I have $2,000 in the future. $10,000, it will take a few days to arrive, and you can continue to make additional investments at that time. But I only have one request, that is, when I tell you to sell, don't hesitate. William Chen remembers that the future report said that the 15th of next month will be the moment when the sector will skyrocket. All stocks have reached the highest price on that day, so he will notify Joss to sell in time. Stock. After all, this investment is very important to Chen William, so although he will hand over the specific operations to Joss, it does not mean that he will not care about it later. He will still come over every day to grasp the situation of the transaction. Now he can be said to be desperate, and under such circumstances, it is impossible for anyone to give the whole heart to others, regardless of himself. After explaining these things, William Chen left Building 666 together with his lawyer. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. The lawyer by his side, named Alicia, was the lawyer Tom helped William Chen find from the law firm where he worked. Alicia is about 27 or 8 years old, and her short blonde shoulder-length hair looks very temperamental, and she wears a dark red professional suit. After the two entered the elevator, William Chen said to her with a smile, "Ms. Alicia, thank you very much for your help today. This is my job, Mr. Chen. If you have anything else to do in the future, you can contact me." Alicia naturally knew the handsome young man in front of her. After all, the other party's popularity is not small, although most of them are not well known. However, he is his own client now, and she still has basic professional skills, so both words and attitudes are very decent. "Of course, I'm very satisfied with your work." By this time they had reached the door of the building, and William Chen said, "Should I see you off?" "No, thank you, I drove here," Alicia said politely. When the two separated, Chen William also walked over to a silver-white sports car. This sports car was a Ferrari California sports car that his uncle gave him when he was an adult. Although driving a sports car does look very dazzling, the driving process is not so comfortable. Moreover, Chen William is 185 centimeters tall. Apart from the feeling of sitting on the ground to drive, the space in the car is far less convenient than that of an SUV. In his previous life, he still preferred SUV models. Although he also had a sports car dream, on the one hand, when he was rich enough, he was no longer young. On the other hand, after a test drive, compared with the SUV driving experience, decided to give up the idea of buying a sports car. "William, are you still at home?" Paris called. At this time, William Chen just got into the car. "I'm here in Building 666, and I've just done my own business." "That's great, I'm going to Fifth Avenue too, can you wait for me? I'll go right over," Paris said happily after hearing William Chen's answer. "I'm about to go home, Paris, what's the matter?" "It's like this. I have a party to attend tonight. I want to buy some clothes. Can you accompany me?" Paris's words gave Chen William a headache, because he knew that once the two of them appeared in the shop on Fifth Avenue, the scandal about the two would soon appear in the tabloids and spread a lot. Not what William Chen wanted to see. Thinking of this, William Chen immediately said to Paris, "I'm sorry, Paris, you know that I'm not in a good state recently. I want to go home and have a rest first." "William, are you all right? Is it because of us yesterday?" Paris really paid attention to William Chen's body, but this guess made him speechless. "No, Paris, it should be something I quit drinking recently. I may not have said it. Before I reflected, I thought that I should stay away from alcohol, so I was ready to go to AA to get my sober badge." Many people can see scenes in American TV shows where someone takes out their alcohol-free badge. All of these people joined AA, Anonymous, also known as Alcoholics Anonymous, because of their addiction to alcohol. The members who join will participate in the party to share their experiences and feelings about alcohol abstinence, and then the association will issue them a badge of honor for alcohol abstinence. This badge represents the achievement of a member's abstinence from drinking. Whether it is a 24-hour abstinence, a month, a year, or even a decade, there is a corresponding abstinence badge. Chen William currently hopes to improve the bad impression he left on others before, so quitting drinking is also a good first step. After all, he had no alcohol addiction in his previous life, and he seldom drank, so if he quit drinking, it didn't have much impact on him, and it still gave a positive impression of being reformed and reinvigorated. Really? William, it's amazing that you can do this. It's even better if you can stay away from all the other women who don't even care about your money. Look at now, those women have all the women in your life disappeared. I have persuaded you to discipline yourself a long time ago. Sure enough, hearing William Chen's words, Paris swept away the disappointment when he heard that William Chen couldn't accompany her shopping, and said happily, Paris, I'll try my best to stay away from this. I'm so sorry today, can I accompany you another day? By the way, who will be at the party tonight? They're all acquaintances from New York. I don't know who they are, but Kim and Ivanta should also go there. Paris thought for a while and said, Kim should be another very well-known American socialite, Kim Kardashian. She has a good relationship with Paris. Although many people in the United States are fascinated by her exaggerated figure, William Chen is definitely not among them. He always thinks it is too weird and doesn't like her very much. But Ivan Tat, thinking of the woman with the face of an angel and the figure of a devil in his mind, William Chen felt a little moved. And now is an extraordinary period, I have to pay close attention to the woman Paris, and don't accidentally ruin my own affairs. He didn't regard her as a girlfriend in the first place, the two of them were nothing more than friends, so if she had anything to do with others, Chen William would just cut her off if it was a big deal. But the key now is that her future bank is bound to Paris, no matter what happens to her in the future. Now that I have borrowed and invested from the future bank for half a month, I can't let her do anything wrong, or the consequences will be very serious. Serious? So after thinking about this, William Chen said to Paris, it's a pity that I can't accompany you to go shopping, I'm really guilty. Paris, why don't you do this? I'll go back to rest first, and I'll wait for the evening. I'll accompany you to the party. Chen William's thoughtful words immediately moved Paris, and she said softly, William, if you feel uncomfortable, don't be too reluctant, there is still a chance next time, now your health is important, I really sorry, I shouldn't be able to control myself yesterday, with you. Eldest sister, can you not always keep in touch with this matter, it makes me feel like incompetent. Chen William was speechless for a while and said, I'm not as delicate as you think, but I'm still getting used to the process of staying away from alcohol, mainly psychological adjustment. Well, that's it, Paris, I go home first, then you can go directly to me. When he got home, William Chen opened the future bank panel again. The actual available limit on the account panel was still 0. He had already borrowed the $50 million limit. If he wanted to increase the limit, he would have to wait until the current loan was returned. When William Chen opened the event page, he found that a new event appeared in it: Newcomer Investment Reward. Congratulations to the new users who have made the first loan, please start your investment, we will give corresponding rewards according to the user's investment results. Please participate in the event in time. There is a participate selection box below this paragraph. William Chen immediately chose to participate, and then a notification box popped up, you have participated in the event, please pay attention to the status of the event. Now it seems that the activities of the bank in the future will all appear randomly, and William Chen doesn't know what the rules will be. However, since an event had already appeared, he naturally hurried to participate. Thinking of the previous newcomer gift package, he had some expectations for the reward of this task. Opening his eyes, he thought about his future plans. Now that he has started investing, he will wait for the harvest in half a month. However, although he has always convinced himself of the correctness of the eye of the future, after he really took action, in the face of the unknown, William Chen could not help but feel a little apprehensive. What if, just if, the report displayed by the eye of the future didn't come true? Chen William thought of this question, and now he has discovered that the world he is in is still very different from the world of his previous life, such as Paris H, and the pictures taken in his predecessor's memory. Movies that seem to have never been heard in previous lives. As for the former girlfriends, only one or two have heard their names in the previous life, and the others have no impression. Either they have always been unknown and finally disappeared in the entertainment circle, or they are two worlds again. Difference. By the way, BTC. Chen William's eyes lit up, thinking of the 2 years before his rebirth in his previous life. The hottest topic was BTC. At that time, its price had historically exceeded $60,000 apiece, and even Musk, the richest man in the world at the time, bought a lot. It is now 2009, BTC should have just been born, and it has not yet entered the public's field of vision. It is only circulated among a small number of programmers in Silicon Valley as a game in a small circle. And now all those people use computers to mine in their spare time, because the number of participants is very small, and the production of BTC has not experienced the 3 subsequent halvings, so the difficulty of mining is still very low. If you find it yourself now, that mining program, using a computer to dig some and save it, even if only 100,000 coins are kept, it will be worth billions of dollars after more than 10 years. William Chen became excited. He turned on the computer and searched for information about BTC online, but found nothing. Is this thing really so unpopular now that there is no discussion on the internet? It seems that when I am waiting to go to Silicon Valley, I will ask someone to ask. Chen William remembered that in his previous life, he was still interested in this, and he specially researched the white paper of BTC for a while, and knew that it was launched in January 2009 and started Genesis mining. It's been half a year now, and I shouldn't be able to find any news online. There is a legend that Nakamoto C, the creator of BTC, used to be a banker. Because of the outbreak of the subprime mortgage crisis, the Federal Reserve issued a huge amount of money to save the market and plundered the wealth of the people, so I hope to create a decentralized currency that will never be issued. Chen William was thinking about this question. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com muttered to himself, but heard a voice coming from beside him. What subprime mortgage crisis? He turned his head to look. It turned out that Uncle Tom didn't know when he came in, and looked at him strangely. Oh, Uncle Tom, I'm talking about the economic crisis in the past 2 years. I'm considering whether the impact has passed. William Chen didn't want Uncle Tom to hear about BTC, a new thing that he couldn't understand, and thus cause any trouble. Come, so he said casually. Economic crisis? Has there been an economic crisis in the past 2 years? How come I don't know? William, are you okay? Are you here? Tom pointed to his head and said, I got hurt because of alcohol? You must go to the hospital with me tomorrow. Check it out, promise me, William, be careful. Seeing Tom's concerned look, William Chen was stunned. No economic crisis? How could Uncle Tom not know about such a big thing? He immediately opened the web page and searched for subprime mortgage crisis, but he didn't get any useful results. He continued to search for the economic crisis, but the results he got were all from the last century. FK. Chen William couldn't help but scolded. In this world, there really was no subprime mortgage crisis. He slowly recalled. It seemed that in the vague memory of his predecessor, there was no memory of the subprime mortgage crisis at all. However, because the memory of his predecessor was too vague, and he thought it was because he didn't care much about the economy, he didn't think about it. Moreover, the high vacancy rate of his own building 666, and the recent increase in real estate valuations, He has always subconsciously believed that it was the impact of the subprime mortgage crisis and the recovery of real estate after the crisis. Now he finally understands that this world so far, there has been no subprime mortgage crisis in the United States. It is understandable why he could not find any news about BTC, because it is said that Nakamoto in his previous life was dissatisfied with the Fed's large-scale additional currency issuance to save the market because of the subprime mortgage crisis, so he created BTC, which is never-ending. The system of additional issuance is reflected in the white paper. And in the previous life on January 3, 2009, when Nakamoto created the first block of BTC, the Genesis block of BTC, he put the headline of the front page of the Times on that day. The Times 03/Jan/in 2009, Chancellor Brinkhoff bailout for banks, Time magazine, November 3, 2009, the Prime Minister is about to face the second bailout of the banks, is engraved on the first block. This can explain the relationship between the birth of BTC and the subprime mortgage crisis. Therefore, since there has not been a subprime mortgage crisis in this world, it is very likely that BTC will not appear, at least not now. William, what's the matter with you? You make me very worried. Why don't we cancel the loan to the bank? Tom's words pulled Chen William back from his shock. He knew that his performance was not influenced by alcohol at all, but he must not let Uncle Tom have any misunderstanding and change his mind. So he said, I'm really fine, just follow the original plan. I just thought of other things. Well, if you're really worried, I'll accompany you to do a full-body checkup tomorrow. You can rest assured. In order to reassure Tom, William Chen could only go to check once, otherwise if he really misunderstood, things affecting his loan would be broken. By the way, William, I met with the people from the Bank of New York today, and they promised to lend in the shortest possible time. After hearing William Chen's reply, Tom felt relieved and continued. The Bank of New York, isn't it the bank where the $50 million loan of Building 666 will expire in a month? Yes, because they have given loans to the building before, they have a better understanding of your situation, and they can pass the mortgage loan on your house in the shortest time. But I am also worried that they will increase your debt again at this time. There may be other ideas. Tom's words are not unreasonable, but no matter what they think, William Chen will definitely take out the mortgage loan for this house. So it doesn't matter which bank the other party is, as long as he can repay the loan on time, nothing is a problem. So he assured Tom again, don't worry, Uncle Tom, I know what I know. In the worst case, I'll find a rich lady to marry and let her help us settle our debts. But he didn't expect Tom to hear Chen William's words. His eyes lit up, and he said thoughtfully, I didn't think of this. I think Paris has always been infatuated with you. She is considered safe among rich ladies, there have been no scandals, so it's not bad for you to be together. Unexpectedly, Uncle Tom took his joke seriously, and his impression of Paris was quite good. William Chen was speechless for a while. If he knew about Paris's reputation in his previous life, he didn't know what he would have thought of today. Expression. However, this possibility no longer exists. From now on, Paris has not been stabbed in the back by her ex-boyfriend, which is not as exaggerated as the media reported in her previous life. But wait, now her ex-boyfriend, if there is such a person, isn't it Chen William himself? After thinking about it too much, I definitely wouldn't do such a rude thing. Even if I made any videotape, I would definitely have to get a vault-grade safe and store it well for myself to enjoy. He didn't put his own kind the habit of putting out videotapes for others to enjoy. How come the more I think about it, the more I think this is very feasible. I have time to consult another day. Where can I install the vault? Dear William, are you feeling better? In the evening, Paris came to William Chen's house. After meeting, he took his hand and asked softly. It's much better, I feel good now. Paris, thank you for your concern. By the way, you are so beautiful today, this dress suits you very well, Did you just buy it? William Chen saw Paris wearing a dress today. A sky blue dress, the style is, very bold, showing her enchanting figure without reservation. Do you like this dress too? I liked it the first time I saw it when I was shopping today, so I bought it. It's a new style from Chanel. Paris was very happy when he heard William Chen's praise. He turned around in front of him and showed him his new dress. I have to say that Paris's figure is indeed very impressive, and with Chanel's well-cut close-fitting skirt, this almost made William Chen unable to control it. But he still didn't forget that they were going to the party tonight, so he said, Paris, what time does the party start? It should be almost the same. I want you to rest for a while, so I didn't come too early. But don't worry. If you have something to do, you won't really go on time. It's okay to be a little late. You're so considerate, Paris. You sit down for a while, wait a moment, and I'll change. You're so pretty today, and I'll always dress appropriately. Paris smiled and said, William, you have really changed now. You never cared about their opinions before. But no matter what you wear, you are the most handsome man on the court. I think there will be some Xiaoxiao's hoof is going to be posted. I will take good care of you, but now you have to start self-discipline. I feel that Paris is more and more inclined to regard her as his girlfriend. This is not what William Chen wants to see, but now his future bank is still bound to her, so he can't stimulate her, otherwise she will be alone. Free yourself, you will be miserable. So William Chen thought about it and said, Don't worry, Paris, I'm going to live a celibate life for a while now. What you said before is quite right. I need to change myself and make myself more self-disciplined. Put more energy on career, emotional aspect is not what I need to consider now. After he finished speaking, he secretly paid attention to Paris' expression. Seeing that she didn't show any special emotions, he felt a little relieved. Eldest sister, I have already hinted to you, so let's be that friend now. But Paris's next words still made him stunned for a while, only to hear her say softly, You're right, William, don't worry, I know that you are still young and your career is more important, I will always wait for you. Well, that's it, at least temporarily stabilizing her is a good result. When William Chen and Paris arrived at the party, it really had already started. The party was held in a villa. According to Paris, the owner of this house was the granddaughter of a media tycoon, who was also the initiator of the party. People. When the two were talking, a beautiful woman who was about the same age as Paris walked up to them. Paris, you're late, it's not because of a date, right? Paris saw her and said to William Chen, William, let me introduce you, she is the initiator of this party, Amanda. After she finished speaking, she hugged Amanda affectionately and introduced her, this is my friend, William. William, of course, needs no introduction. He's a big star. I've seen him on TV for a long time. Welcome, William, Amanda said decently. After all, it was only a gathering of small circles, so there were not many people here. Paris then introduced a few people to William Chen, including Kim Kardashian and others. Originally, Paris had a good figure, but compared with Kardashian, it was obvious that she was one size smaller in every way, because her size was indeed a bit exaggerated. Previously, William Chen's predecessor spent most of his time in Hollywood in Los Angeles. He only lived in New York when his parents were still there, so he was not particularly familiar with many people here, and he didn't want to come to this kind of party. But I thought it was more important to watch Paris now, so I accompanied her here. Is that Ivan Ta over there? The person next to her is his husband. William Chen also saw a familiar person at the party, the very well-known Ivan Ta in his previous life. She was sitting and talking with a few people. The tall man next to her was also very familiar, but he had only seen it in news reports in a previous life. Wasn't it her husband Garrett? Husband? How is that possible? Don't talk nonsense in front of her, William, or she will definitely be angry. Ivan Tat is still single now, and that man seems to be a real estate family in New Jersey. The person named Garrett is now studying for a master's degree at New York University, and it seems that he is going to pursue Ivan Tat. Paris said, with a bit of gossip in her words. Ivan Tat, are you still single? Chen William remembered that in her previous life, she seemed to get married this year, and her husband was Garrett, who was now beside her. According to media reports at the time, it seemed that Ivan Tat met Garrett at a party. On the other side, actively pursue. Because Garrett is Jewish, in order to marry him, Ivan Tat also passed the Judaism exam in 2 years. But now it seems that the situation in this world is different. It seems that the two are not together at all, and is Garrett still pursuing Ivan Tat? A smile appeared on William Chen's face, and things got interesting. Ivan Tat, what are you talking about? Paris pulled William Chen to the side of Ivan Tat and asked with a smile. Paris, you are here. I couldn't find you when I looked for you just now. At this time, Ivan Tat and Paris had a good relationship, and they could be regarded as best friends, so she was very enthusiastic when she saw each other. This is Garrett, who is currently studying at New York University, but he is very good and has had several successful business operations in his spare time, and we are talking about real estate operations. Ivan Tat's father, Trump, is a well-known real estate businessman in the United States, but compared to his business achievements, Trump is more famous for his self-hype and his big mouth. Ivan Tat became famous very early. She started to model when she was 15 or 16 years old, and later served as a host. Recently, she began to be responsible for part of the work in her father's Trump Group, so she is also more concerned about real estate interest. And Garrett's family is also a real estate family, a well-known real estate group in New Jersey, America. Although the family's net assets are more than $1 billion, the assets they can control are also in the scale of several billion US dollars, so the two of them went to there is also a topic. Ivan Tat, we met again. The last time I saw you was many years ago. William Chen took the initiative to greet Ivan Tat. Ivan Tat's father, Trump, was a real estate developer. His father is also in the real estate industry, so when his parents were alive, he took him to a reception and met the Trump father and daughter. At that time, William Chen was only 14 or 15 years old, still a teenager, and Ivan Tat, who was 3 years older than him, was already a well-known model. William, I remember that when I saw you, you were still a child. You are so tall now. You are really talented. Ivan Tat also responded enthusiastically to him. Looking at the unbelievably handsome young man in front of him, Ivan Tat naturally knew who he was. Although the two of them only met twice at the reception a few years ago, they were still impressed. At that time, although he was still young, everyone liked him very much because of his good looks, and they had never seen the bad things he did after him. Now Ivan Tat watched William Chen and Paris come over together, thinking about the news reports she saw recently and the news she heard from others, but she sighed inwardly, with such a good appearance, it is a pity that she can't support it property left to him by his parents. At this time, Ivan Tat glanced at Garrett beside him. When he saw William Chen, he smiled and greeted him, looking very gentlemanly. He is also a descendant of a real estate family. In Ivan Tat's view, Garrett is completely different from William Chen. Not only is he keen on learning, but after graduating from Yale University, he came to New York University to study for a double degree in Juris Doctor and MBA. And his business talent is also good. In addition to his studies, he invested in real estate and earned tens of millions of dollars with his own efforts. And Garrett's father was sentenced to 2 years in prison for being involved in a lawsuit. He has now taken over the family's property with full power and is planning to develop the family's real estate business from New Jersey to New York. After chatting with them casually, William Chen left Ivan Tat's side and walked elsewhere. He could feel that, including Ivan Tat, although these people were very enthusiastic towards him on the surface, they all had a sense of alienation, purely a polite feeling. And I saw that they had a good chat before. After Chen William and Paris came over, the atmosphere on the court was a little embarrassing. Chen William understands that these people are well-informed people, and the bad things about his predecessors, let alone them, because of the tabloid reports, it is estimated that more than half of the people in the United States are aware of it, so now that he is here, the other party is just on the surface. He was polite, but in his heart he didn't know how to treat him. Just like when he left, he could even hear Gayrid ask Ivan Ta in a low voice, "Isn't he going bankrupt? Why is he still here?" At that time, William Chen took a look at Paris' expression and found that she didn't have any abnormality. She probably didn't hear it. After all, it was a party, and it wasn't that quiet. But Chen William didn't know if it was because of the effect of the Liaowei Daihuang pills he had eaten before. Now his hearing is much better than before, just like when he was at home, he could hear many tiny sounds, but Tom couldn't. Noticed. For these people's thoughts, Chen William doesn't care at this time, and he won't be angry because others' attitudes are obviously perfunctory. After all, at any time, we have to rely on strength to speak. This is the current situation of himself, no matter what he does. Performance, others will only laugh at what they should laugh at in their hearts. Only when they have the strength and the enviable wealth will those people respect him from the bottom of their hearts. It happened that he hadn't had dinner before he came out today, and he was a little hungry now, so he asked Paris to chat with his friends first. He walked to the place where the cold food was placed in the room, picked up the plate and chose something, and then find a place where no one is in the corner, and eat slowly. Ivan Ta, look, that William took so much food, it seems that he has indeed encountered financial problems. Gayrid said to Ivan Ta in a low voice when he saw William Chen's appearance. Ivan Ta looked in the direction of his line of sight, and saw William Chen sitting in the corner eating the food on the plate, although in his previous life he basically used chopsticks according to the Chinese custom, but only occasionally used a knife when eating Western food. Fork, but still feel that chopsticks are the most convenient to eat. But now the body also has muscle memory for using a knife and fork to eat, so it doesn't feel too awkward to use. He still owns most of the shares in 666 Fifth Avenue, but I heard from my father that because of the debt problem, the bank is watching it very closely. If the loan can't be repaid, it may be taken away. Shares. Ivan Ta said lightly, but she didn't have too many expressions on her face. It may be a habit formed since childhood, and she won't show too many emotions. Gayrid noticed her reaction, and felt complacent in his heart. Just when Chen William came over, he saw that Ivan Ta showed a slightly warm attitude towards him, and he had to admit that Chen William's face had a handsome face that all men would be jealous of. Therefore, Gayrid, who was pursuing Ivan Ta, naturally became alert. But later in the conversation, he also found that Ivan Ta seemed to be more polite to Chen William. From her eyes, she could still see calm, not the kind of fiery that loves admiration, so he reassured him. Not a lot. But Gayrid still couldn't help but quietly belittle the other party in front of her, to test and reduce Ivan Ta's goodwill towards Chen William. And now this good opportunity to express himself, he naturally will not miss it. After a moment of indulgence, Gayrid said, "Ivan Ta, you know that I am determined to develop the family's business to New York. After all, this is the center of the entire America, so I'm currently looking for a suitable real estate property. From what you've said, Williams 666 building is a good target. It's located in the center of Fifth Avenue and has a great reputation. If it's suitable, I really hope to win it." Hearing Gayrid's words, Ivan Ta's eyes lit up and said, "I feel great about your idea, Gayrid. If you can really win building 666, it will definitely be a record price. It puts you in the spotlight in New York, and even the whole of America." The more Gayrid thought about it, the more he felt that this was a good idea. He looked at William Chen and said proudly, "In this case, I have to hope that the big star can lose a lot. Maybe you can get that building for a better price. Chen William didn't know that his property was being targeted by Garrod. After eating, he saw Paris coming back, and the expression on his face was not very good, so he asked, "What's the matter, Paris? Who made you angry?" "It's nothing, William." Paris walked to his side and showed a smile, but this smile, in Chen William's view, had a bit of a forced smile. Sure enough, after a while, she still couldn't hold back, and said, "I'm so angry, I heard someone talking bad about you. And Garrod, who was with Ivan Tat, is also annoying. I passed behind him just now. When I was around, I heard him talk about you, and there was nothing good to say anyway." For these, William Chen can imagine, it is not surprising. After all, in this kind of Vanity Fair, when you are brilliant, everyone will respect you and praise you, and when you are down, there will be no shortage of cold words. "Why don't we go back, William? It doesn't feel very interesting here." Paris took the initiative to say to Chen William. The reason why William Chen came with her is mainly because his future bank-bound partner is Paris, and now is an important moment for him to invest in the stock market. The bank was forcing his loan back, so at this kind of party, come and watch her. In addition, when William Chen came to this world, he had never attended such a gathering of children from rich families in America, so he wanted to come and experience it. But to be honest, after it really came, it just felt like this. Of course, there may also be a reason why he was not very popular because of his former prodigal reputation. It was just like when he was sitting here by himself, and almost no one came to talk on his own initiative. Only 2 people from rich families came to talk to him at first sight. However, William Chen could see at a glance that the other party was also coming for his skin, hoping to develop a friendship with him. Now that Paris proposed to leave, William Chen naturally had no objection, so after greeting the beautiful girl named Amanda, the initiator of the party, the 2 walked out of the villa. Paris. After the 2 got into the car, William Chen started the car and asked casually, "You can see that my situation is very bad now, those people are mostly avoiding me, why are you still friends with me?" "Woolen cloth. Because I believe in you, William, as long as you can cheer yourself up, you will be able to surprise others. And I don't care how much wealth you have, because I can make money myself." I have to say that Paris's words touched William Chen a little. Maybe at this time, he can still have expectations for William Chen. He doesn't know about the Dre family. He only knows about Uncle Tom, and Paris is up. At this time, Paris did not experience the bad thing of being backstabbed by her ex-boyfriend and released her private videotapes in her previous life. She did not degenerate in her love life, and her mind was relatively simple. And her talent in business is really good. Now, as far as William Chen knows, Paris has licensed her name to those fashion brands, such as perfumes, cosmetics, and clothing. Just these can bring her 7 years a year. With an income of $8 million, not to mention that she is an actress and also invests in movies. In these respects, what she has done is comparable to Chen William's predecessor, not even a little bit better. It was like in William Chen's previous life, because Paris' endless negative news even affected the reputation of the Hilton family. Her grandfather, the helm of the Hilton family, in a fit of rage, announced that he would donate 97% of the assets in his name to charity after his death, so that Paris would not get much inheritance in the end, but she relied on her own fame and management ability, and finally pushed his worth to $3 billion. It can be said that his personal ability is still very strong. William Chen could clearly feel Paris' affection for him. However, in his previous life, he used to treat his feelings wholeheartedly, but in the end, he was backstabbed by the other party and sent him into the abyss. Therefore, after crossing into this world, he will treat feelings, especially those that require commitment, very cautiously. Moreover, the love life of Paris' previous life is too famous. Although she doesn't look that bad now, William Chen is still not sure whether she is really infatuated with herself now, or just a short-lived love. Hot. Therefore, the current William Chen, on the one hand, because of the bond with the bank in the future, hopes to stabilize Paris, on the other hand, because of her uncertainty, it is better to maintain that kind of friend relationship for the time being. William, how about I stay with you tonight? When William Chen was about to send Paris to the Waldorf Astoria, he heard her say this. As the heir to the Hilton family, Paris has been living in the presidential suite of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, one of the most luxurious and famous five-star hotels in the world, since childhood. This hotel has always been the first choice for heads of state to stay. A brand owned by Hilton Hotels Corporation. Seeing William Chen glance at himself, Paris said softly, I'm going to film in Los Angeles in a few days, so I want to spend more time with you, William. Hearing this news, William Chen immediately became alert. He is now sent to New York from Los Angeles by his uncle John Dre, and it is not easy to leave during this period, but Paris is going to leave here to film in Hollywood, which is a bit dangerous. He is now bound by the bank in the future. Her partner is her, don't make a prairie for yourself, it will be sad. Thinking of this, Chen William decided that he still needed to stabilize her, and immediately agreed, and turned at the intersection ahead and drove towards his villa. William, let's talk about it first, you haven't recovered yet, let's not, okay? As he entered the door, Paris suddenly said this to William Chen. Okay, I have a guest room here, why don't you sleep in the guest room? William Chen replied to her immediately. No, I'm afraid to sleep by myself, and I still want to sleep with you, but we have to hold on to it and just sleep for the time being, and wait until you recover. Paris's words made Chen William look at her speechlessly. Eldest sister, you haven't slept by yourself for so many years, I believe you are afraid, but it is still important to stabilize her now, so he nodded and agreed. Paris, watch TV or something else first. I'll take a bath. If you want to take a bath, there is a bathroom on the first floor. After entering the house, William Chen said to Paris. During this time, he was used to going to the bathroom for a period of time every day, and he felt comfortable all over, so when he saw Paris nodding in agreement, he walked into the bedroom on the second floor. Just when William Chen put the hot water in the bathroom, lay down in the bathtub, closed his eyes and enjoyed the feeling of the slight heat surrounding himself, the door of the bathroom was opened, he opened his eyes and saw Paris walking in front of him. He subconsciously covered the place destined to be marked, and asked in surprise, Paris, why did you come in? William, my skirt, can you help me unzip the back? Paris blushed, looked at William Chen tenderly, and said in a soft voice. Can't you wait for me to finish taking a bath? William Chen was speechless again. I feel sticky and uncomfortable. I want to take a shower now, hurry up. After that, Paris turned around and faced William Chen with her back. Being defeated by her, Chen William could only stand up and pull the zipper on the back of her skirt to the bottom. This guy, he really didn't wear it. At this time, Paris turned around and faced William Chen who was standing, and suddenly, her skirt fell directly to the floor of the bathroom. The next morning, William Chen woke up and looked at the time, it was just after 6 o'clock. He found that since taking Liaowei Dihuang pills and 6 walnuts last time, his energy has improved a lot, and he can wake up very early every morning without any sleepiness. Almost as long as you sleep for 6 hours a day, when you wake up again, you will feel like a newborn, full of energy. Since he was no longer sleepy, Chen William simply got up. After washing, Chen William drank a full glass of water. This was a habit he had formed in his previous life. After getting up in the morning, he would drink a large glass of warm water. However, in the United States, unlike China, there is no habit of drinking warm water here. Most of them drink cold water directly. With Chen William's physical constitution, he is already used to cold water, and he will not say that his stomach will react after drinking it. It is easy to have diarrhea, so he is drinking cold water directly now. Thinking of what he had told Uncle Tom and Paris before about getting ready to exercise, William Chen immediately put on a sports suit and prepared to go out for a morning run. His house is on the Upper East Side, close to Fifth Avenue, so he's going straight to Central Park for a morning run. He first ran from home to Fifth Avenue, then along Fifth Avenue, into Central Park, and around the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir with a loop of soft cinders for runners it was built, and William Chen ran along this road. On this route, you can see a lot of people jogging in the morning. From time to time, you can also see beautiful women of all colors with great bodies, which can be considered beautiful. Running all the way, William Chen could enjoy the stunning skyline view of the Fifth Avenue residential area, as well as the castle-like El Dorado complex in Central Park West. Time to run a few laps. After all, the body is the capital of the revolution. After running this lap, it is about 2.5 kilometers. In his previous life, William Chen occasionally ran in the morning, but at that time he only ran 7 or 8 kilometers. Now after running 3 laps, he feels that he has more energy, so he continues after another lap. There are more than 10 kilometers. I don't know if it's because of his younger body and better stamina, or because the Lao Shai Zilioe Dihuang pills he eats are really useful. Anyway, Chen William is still very satisfied with his running results. He plans to persevere and slowly increase the distance in the future. Maybe you can challenge a marathon or something. There are also many marathons in the United States. If you can really run, you can participate in it yourself to experience the atmosphere. But when he finished running, came out of Central Park, and strolled home on Fifth Avenue, he encountered reporters waiting to take pictures nearby. There are many such reporters, and most of them are waiting on this popular morning running route. See if there are celebrities passing by, and if you get good photos, you can sell them to newspapers. The other party also recognized Chen William. The flashlight came on, and he took a few pictures of him. The other party wanted to come over and ask him questions. Chen William knew the current situation, and the other party asked nothing more than about his bank debts. The other party waved his hand and walked away directly. So for the past 2 days, William Chen lived this kind of regular life, getting up for a run in the morning, then having breakfast with Paris. She would leave his house, and then he would go to Building 666 on Fifth Avenue, to ask Joss about the stock's progress. Then when he was at home, he would also check the information on the internet, try to understand many things in this world, and familiarize himself with it, so as not to make anew like the last time he talked to Uncle Tom about the subprime mortgage crisis. After 2 days of understanding, he found that there are still some places in this world that are different from the previous life. Just like he knew before, the subprime mortgage crisis did not appear at all. After the connection, BTC was also not created by Nakamoto C. Moreover, there are Hollywood stars in this world that he was familiar with in his previous life, and some that he has never heard of, and the same is true of some film and television works. Therefore, Chen William guessed that what he is in now is probably not the world of his previous life, but a plausible parallel world or something like that. Uncle Tom, I want to find a school to continue studying. 2 days later, Paris left New York and went to Los Angeles. William Chen felt that with his efforts in the past few days, she should be able to settle down for a while, and felt a little relieved. When Tom came to his house again and told him that the mortgage loan he had applied for, the bank could release the loan today, he suddenly said this to Tom. "Reading? Why do you suddenly have such thoughts again?" Tom asked curiously. "Through this period of reflection, I realized that I still have many shortcomings, so I want to continue to study. Reading www.uuganshu.com allows me to think more deeply about many things. Of course, I will not. It is like those students who stay on campus all day, and my idea is that I will also deal with the company's affairs at ordinary times, and I can hire a teacher to teach me Oneo Nun. In fact, the main reason is that William Chen discovered that this world is still very different from his previous life. One of his biggest doubts now is whether the subprime mortgage crisis will come. But now it shows his lack of knowledge. Like some people in his previous life, he could not predict the imminent crisis of the subprime mortgage crisis long before it happened, and profit from it. Therefore, he has the idea of continuing to study so that he can think more deeply. And although he has a future bank, he doesn't want to rely on this to live his entire life. He has experienced a past life similar to this world, and he also believes that even if the two worlds are not exactly the same, the social and technological development of the past life will have a great reference for this world. This also has a premise, that is, you have to understand some basic social and economic laws, in order to be able to make better use of the experience of the previous life, which also requires him to study more and improve himself to a higher level than before. Make the most of those opportunities. Everyone hopes to have huge wealth and realize wealth freedom. But now it seems that achieving financial freedom should be a relatively high degree of certainty for Chen William, who owns a future bank. What about after financial freedom? Just keep earning more and more wealth, and the cycle continues? Once people's wealth reaches a certain level, the most urgent need is to realize their own value, to make more contributions to the society and the progress of mankind. Otherwise, the descendants of the wealthy will just enjoy themselves all day long and be drunk and dream of dying. William, if you can think so, then I can rest assured. What do you want to study? Tom said with a look of relief. The better universities in New York are Columbia University and New York University. I suggest you go to New York University, your father's alma mater. He once donated to New York University. It will be more convenient for you to go there, and New York University is relatively close to home, which is more than 10 minutes drive. Well then, let's choose New York University. In the United States, most prestigious schools are private schools, and donations from alumni are one of the main sources of their income. In addition, it is the high tuition fees. The United States pursues elite education. If you want to study in a prestigious school, you must either have excellent grades and get a scholarship, or you have money in your family and can spend money to study. The culture of alumni donations to their alma mater is very popular here. On the one hand, those who graduated from prestigious schools are more likely to succeed through the resources of alumni, and after they succeed, they will thank their alma mater and give back. Donations can also make it easier for their descendants to gain admission to their alma mater. Ordinary people can hardly afford the high tuition fees of those famous schools if they don't have scholarships. Many people can only pay off their university loans more than 10 years after graduation. The high tuition fees of these famous schools can be seen. Then what are you going to learn? Tom continued to ask. Economics. I hope I can systematically study those economic theories and gain a deeper understanding of the laws of economic development. Although there is a joke that economists' ability to make money is generally not too great, but William Chen doesn't need to really learn how to make money. What he hopes is to be able to make better use of the memory of his previous life through learning and experience, so starting with economics should be a better direction. Okay, I'm waiting to talk to New York University. Economics is also a relatively strong major at New York University. You went to a business school in the university before, and it has something to do with economics, and it is not a complete cross-disciplinary. Taking advantage of the current vacation to hire a few teachers to supplement the get out of class, and in September, I should be able to go directly to the master's degree. Tom heard William Chen's answer and already helped him plan it. NYU will have 2 long vacations a year, similar to the winter vacation and summer vacation in Huiguo. Now it happens to be during the vacation. Summer will be from mid-May to early September, but the regulations are not so strict. After the exam, you can leave the school directly. Therefore, even if Chen William goes to New York University to study, he has to wait until September. Now, he can hire teachers from related majors to help him remediate his undergraduate courses in economics. Although he entered this school through the back door, he couldn't really behave too well. After all, his main purpose was not to get that diploma, but to really learn something. In fact, it is very common in the United States to enter a famous school in this way, and it is still very common in the family of powerful people. Just like Garrod, who he met at a party before, he has always been boasted about his education from a famous school, but it is said that he was an undergraduate at Yale at the time. It's because his father donated $2.5 million to Yale, and he is now at NYU, and his father donated $3 million to the school. Speaking of which, William Chen realized that he seems to be about to become an alumnus with this Garrod. He doesn't know what kind of interesting scene it will be if he meets him on campus at that time. But by that time, his views on himself should have changed a lot, provided that the report from Eye of the Future is reliable. Sure enough, this day William Chen received the bank's notification of the arrival of the funds, and the loan he mortgaged the villa had entered into his account. So he immediately transferred the $20 million into his stock account and notified Joss. The other party has already negotiated with Chen William before, and will invest the money in the potential stocks in the shipping sector other than the stocks he has delineated. After all, $5 million was invested in Dryship's stock before, and $30 million was also invested in the remaining stocks that appeared in the report. These funds are already the limit that these stocks cannot be affected too much. Too obvious. In addition to the previous $15 million, $35 million will be invested in the shipping sector. Joss analyzed that if the sector collectively rose, it would be among the stocks that would perform better. Because Chen William fulfilled his promise before, he asked Tom to accompany him to the best hospital in New York for a full-body examination. Not only did he not find anything wrong, but in the doctor's words, Chen William was not only in good health, but also in good health. Much healthier than most people, and this result makes Tom feel a lot more at ease with him now. Tom also acted quickly and contacted New York University, because Chen William's father was an alumnus of New York University and had donated more than $10 million to the school before his death, so the other party happily agreed to Chen William's admission. He will enter New York University for a master's degree in economics after the semester begins in September. At the same time, after the consultation, he also hired an economics lecturer for William Chen as his tutor before the school started. In fact, if it is just for him to complete the undergraduate courses of related majors, the lecturer is enough to deal with it. As for those professors, for the current Chen William, I am afraid it is equivalent to anti-aircraft guns hitting mosquitoes, and those professors, more it is academic achievement, and in teaching, it is not necessarily better than a lecturer. In this way, William Chen's schedule for the day is quite full. After he gets up in the morning for a morning run, he will take a bath, eat breakfast, and then go to Building 666 on Fifth Avenue. Now, there is an office specially arranged for him next to the trading team. After learning about the operation of the stock market, William Chen will wait in the office for the arrival of the lecturer from New York University. The lectures will be 3 hours in the morning and afternoon. After that, he will continue to communicate with Joss about today's stock market operations, and finally return home after dinner, review today's lessons alone, go to the gym to sweat, and finally sleep. It can be said that from now on, William Chen will start a 2.1 lean life at home and office. There was no way out. After all, at this time, he had seen the perseverance of American journalists. Even when he came home from his morning run, he encountered reporters asking him questions, mainly about his love life and financial issues. I am afraid that many people are now paying attention to the fact that he sometimes does not appear in Hollywood. Chen William, is it really going to go bankrupt? Therefore, he wisely chose to live a secluded life. It is estimated that after this investment is completed and the looming bank debt is settled by himself, all kinds of rumors will be broken. However, when William Chen met the lecturer Tom hired for him for the first time, he was stunned for a while. Before, Chen William only knew that the other party was a woman named Erica. In his impression, the lecturers in the university were not too young, and women, even women, could be more patient. After all, he also knew his predecessor. What the level looks like. Now, when the other party came to his office and introduced himself, Chen William looked at the beautiful woman who was under 30 years old, tall, and said that she was a supermodel and had no sense of disobedience, and couldn't help but doubt Uncle Tom seriously. Does this really mean that you want to study hard? Mr. Chen, shall we start now? Asked Erica, the lecturer who looked like a young Heidi Klum in front of her. Ms. Erica, you can just call me William in the future. After all, I'm your student now. It's always a little strange that you're being so polite. So, let's start now. Uncle Tom told you, there are 3 hours each in the morning and afternoon. In order to hire a good teacher, William Chen offered a relatively generous salary, $1,500 a day, although 6 hours of teaching a day was a bit more tiring than in a university. But at this time, the annual salary of a lecturer at New York University was about $90,000, and Erica could get a salary of $45,000 a month with Chen William, which would be the same as her annual salary in college in 2 months. Okay, William, you can also call me Erica directly in the future. That's what my students call me. In order to know your current level and give more targeted teaching, I have prepared several sets of test papers, UU reading books. www.uugonshu.com is an exam for the undergraduate level of economics at New York University. You take it first, and I will focus on your shortcomings later. Erica took out a few papers from her bag and handed them over William Chen, watching him start to do it. Erica is not just a vase with beautiful appearance. She can become a lecturer at New York University at the age of 27, which is not an easy task in itself. When she first heard that it was for William Chen, the most famous prodigal in America, to be a teacher, she subconsciously wanted to refuse. After all, there was too much news about this person before. Whether it was his love life or his bad movie investments, they all became the talk of the American people after dinner. To be a teacher for such a son, you can imagine how difficult it is. She even felt that this so-called teacher was just for this son to cope with the cover of the elders. If this is the case, the work can be easier. But she is not ignorant of her own beauty. Even on campus, she has encountered the pursuit of countless bold students. At New York University, you can imagine how many descendants of the rich and powerful are among them. For those pursuits, it was a general refusal, and now you have to face this prodigal, and every day, you can imagine how hurtful it is. But what moved her in the end was the expensive reward. And she also knew that although the prodigal son had a lot of negative news before, but in terms of women, his reputation was not bad, and there was no record of overstepping or coercion against the opposite sex. This is also understandable. He is the kind of man who is so handsome that women scream. With a lot of money, he doesn't need to play anything exciting at all, and it is enough for many women to embrace him. Therefore, after hesitation, Erica still accepted the job.